So now that we have this finished, or just about, let's say that you send it off to your client, and your client says, "Oh, it's awesome," but a couple things. Um, we use this logo on one side of our truck, but on the other side we have a different one where it's flipped. Same logo, just flipped. And we really want it to go the other direction. So if you could change that on all the pages, that would be great. And then maybe they also say, hey, and while you're doing that, the page buttons, they've got a little bit of white around the edges that, maybe you could clean that up. And maybe you could clean up the extra sort of purple on the edges. And so you might be thinking like, great, so I have to change this on each page. Now my page is only, or my site is only 4 pages, so not a big deal. But what if the site had 20 pages? Or if the site had 50 pages? Or if it was like the size of our school website where it's like over 100? Or bigger, like the size of Best Buy or Amazon. So even little changes when you have a massive website can take a lot of time to do, depending on the way that you've built the site and the way that you've structured it, and what type of code you're using. Now, if that's all they want me to fix, that's actually pretty lucky, because this is just an image, and these are just images. So, let's say they send me the other logo. So let's say here's our other logo, and they want me to use that. Okay, cool. And they want me to fix these menu things. So I'll go ahead and fix that real fast. Go ahead and open each one. Deliveries, if I remember correctly, is fine. No little extra purple bit on the edge. So it's just a little bit of white around the edge. So if I go into Save for Web, while I have it set as a PNG, I can see the colors. These are the colors that I am allowing it to use. And I can grab some of these, and I can tell it, instead of them being colors, to go ahead and make all of those colors transparent. So those no longer exist, so to speak, in this image. I don't know if I quite want that many, but you get the idea. Well, hang on. Go ahead and cancel. So I'm just going to go back and Save for Web. Maybe around here, and make those transparent. If I click again, it will make them untransparent. But if you're concerned, you can always just cancel out and do it again if you think you messed something up. So good, no problem. Go ahead and save this. So I'm saving it to my desktop right now. Go ahead and replace it. And I'll do the same thing with the next 2 images. So 1, 2. There's that little bit of purple there, if you can see it. It's very small, but it's there, a line of purple, so I'll delete that. Do the same thing, Save for Web. Get rid of around there, so make those transparent. Save on my desktop, replace. And last one. So there's a little bit of purple, so we'll delete that. And we'll do Save for Web. We'll make some of these shades transparent, so there's less jagged white edges around it. We'll go ahead and save. Alright, so now you might be thinking, like, that's great, but I still have to go in there and I still have to change the code for each one of those. Well, yes, depending on how you're doing it, but no. Because these are images, we don't have to do that. Keep in mind that the image itself is not contained in the page. It is just linked to the page. We're using an image tag that is pulling this from a source. And so if that source changes, then so does the image on the page. So all we need to do, we can just change this to say the same thing as that. Now the problem is, I forgot that this was a JPEG and not a PNG. So I flipped the wrong one. So give me just a moment. So we have our flipped logo, our fixed logo, the one that is actually on the page and looks the same. And we have our fixed menu items as well. So, like I said, it's pulling from the source, and this is the source. So if I rename my flipped logo to be exactly the same name as the original one, and I make sure that these are all the same name, which they are, if I drag all these in and tell it to replace, although I want to make a backup of this just in case I want it later. Try that again, drag them in, tell it to replace them. Now, if I refresh the site, the dog is going in the other direction. The little bit of purple is gone from here. And there's a little bit less of the white around these. Clean that up a little bit too. There's still a little bit, but it's a bit better. So I could play with that a little bit more if I wanted to and try to crop out a little bit more from it. Now, this has deteriorated a little bit because I've saved it twice as saving for web as a JPEG with compression. So it's starting to deteriorate a little bit. And if you keep saving it that way, it can get pretty gross. So if you can, you want to go back from the source and do it that way. But I'm just doing it fast just to show you guys. If instead they said we want you to change all of maybe the names, so maybe instead of Taco Delivery Services they just want it to be called TacoDog Delivery, then that would be a little more complicated because then we're going to have to go into the code of each page and change that here in the title. And I have to change the title for each one. Or what if they wanted this to be a slightly different shade, or they want it to be a different font? So I would have to go in and I would have to find that part, so the body color, or find the fonts, and I have to change them. And only a couple pages, no big deal. But the more pages, the worse it is. You know, if you imagine like Amazon or something having to like change the font in every single one of those pages, that would be rather awful. And that's what we used to have to do. Our school website still uses a lot of the old code. So if someone said, hey, you need to switch the font you're using on the website, that would take days to change because there's over 100 pages, and every single instant of the font, you would have to go in and change it by hand, manually, in the code. It's not efficient, but it's just the way things have been for quite a while on certain types of systems, and that's just the system that we have. So there's one other thing that we used to do a lot of too. In the late 90s and right around 2000, especially when Flash animation was first coming out, and even before that, it was very common to have a splash page. And we don't do those anymore. We do something that some people might get confused as a splash page called a landing page, but we'll talk about landing pages later. For now, just know splash page. And we don't do them anymore. But what it basically was instead of having index be kind of the first start where you can actually do stuff, basically I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that. Your index instead was basically just a page with some graphics, basically telling them to then enter your page. So it was repetitive, and it required extra loading and extra time, and you know it's kind of an issue because a lot of times people will go to a website and they will decide right from the start do they like the page or not, and then they will enter or leave, or they will use the page or leave. If you have what you want them to see right at the start, that's good because they see your product. If, however, your very first page is just saying like, hey, here's a cool picture, do you want to enter the website, you're going to have a lot of people who are going to leave and not even see what your main thing is. So splash pages is bad. But I'm sure how to do one anyways. So what I'm going to do here is where all of the center stuff is, I'm going to take that out. And I'm going to instead put the big logo with maybe like enter below it. Or click to enter, I don't know, something like that. They did stuff like that. Now once Flash animation came out, which we're not going to do because it's basically dead now, unless you're interested in making retro styled or indie styled games, or unless you're specifically interested in animation, basically nobody else does it. But lots of websites used it for a while, and it was like the thing for a while. So I'm going to replace this, delete this, and I'm going to put the logo. And I might even delete that. I think I will. So I don't need this bottom banner, and I don't need anything all the way until the top banner. So I'm going to delete all of that. And it's going to be right in here, right inside of this TD tag, TR tag, where the banners were. I could rewrite them from scratch, but it saves me a few keystrokes. So what's going to go there is going to be the retriever. So we're going to drop him in here. And we'll call this TacoDog underscore splash. And here we'll do image src equals images slash TacoDog underscore splash. We're going to go ahead and center this. So we'll just use just a basic center tag. And we'll close that out. And I forgot to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. Alright, so what I've done is at the start I have the logo and that text. So this and that. Beneath that I have one row and one TD inside of it with a colspan 2. And that goes where this is. That is where this was. Everything else I've deleted. And here I'm putting in this, the retriever, the other one, the one that's flipped. And underneath that I'm going to do a line break so that way they're not side by side. We're going to do enter. And we're going to do font face equals Helvetica and Arial. Close that. Close the elements. We're actually going to go ahead and add in size equals, I don't know, +5 or something. I could do it as a header graphic or as a header tag, but I'm not going to because that would then tell Google that this enter word is important. Enter is important for the viewer, which is why I'm making it big, but it is not important for the search engine. This website is not about entering. This website is about TacoDog deliveries. So I don't want a header tag on there because I don't want to think that that is important, because it's not. And I'm going to make this a link. So a hyperlink reference, I think I called it main.html, and we'll just close out that element. We'll save it. We'll see if it works. Oh, I didn't do something. What did I not do? Oh, I forgot to .png. Alright, we'll refresh. There we go. So enter. So this was essentially a splash page. I actually don't even like that logo there. I think I just want this and that. So we'll just do and non-breaking space. So and NBSP, that's what that stands for, non-breaking space. So save it, refresh it. There we go. And if you enter, ta-da, TacoDog. So that was a splash page. All the websites did this in like the late 90s, turn of the century. Some of them were static, just a big image. Some of them were flash graphics where stuff would move around and be all animated. And that was considered really cool for a while, but it was actually not good for business because people would look at the splash page and they would decide right then and there whether or not they wanted to look at the page. And if they decided no, then they don't even know what you're selling. They don't even know the main points that you want them to see. All they saw was like your fancy graphic and they left. So not good for business. But that's what it was. So here we go. I could actually also make this part of the link too, which would probably be smart. So I'm going to actually go ahead and move the start of this anchor tag to be at the start of the image. And I don't want to close the element inside of the font tag. That's bad practice, so we'll close it on the outside of the font tag. I'm going to add a 0 border to that graphic just in case they're using an old browser or a weird browser. So now the whole thing is a button and ta-da, TacoDog. So that's it for this video. I am going to show you one more thing because I want to show you how to do forms because they were very important for a while. So we're going to add on here next a little contact option down here on the bottom, which will take us to a form where people can submit information to you and it will go to your email box.